Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay. He's Wes,
He's Clay.
and we finally are on the other side of the first weekend of the collegiate season for 2025. And hardly any of us got to see these games because there's nothing that was streaming, unfortunately. But a couple of us were in there in person, but we'll get to those later. Wes, what do we have in store today?
We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, including a really nice Olympian guest and newest member of Pro Recco. So we're going to talk to Max Irving later on in the show. But before we get to him, we're going to break down this weekend's results. We'll go through the exciting kind of play-by-play that Clayton got to do. We'll, of course, preview next weekend, and we're going to give our 3 stars away for the 3 stars of the weekend. We're going to start doing this segment called 3 Stars, and each week we're going to give 3 players a star, and at the end of the season, whoever has the most stars wins. So everybody should be vying for this auspicious title. And so we'll break down the 3 stars and why we pick them every week. It's an exciting time here at Water Polo Wednesday. We always continue to grow, continue to iterate. If there's certain segments you want to watch or see or information, please let us know. We're always open to things. But let's dive in, Clay. We've got our weekend 1 results. Give me a second. I'm going to present this, and we'll rock and roll. All right, here we go.
Cool.
So weekend 1 results. LMU drops a tough one to UCI. I mean, this was, I think, a lot closer than most people, not than we thought. I think a lot of people thought this was much closer than it was. This ended up being a lot closer than it was going. They had anticipated. We're very high on LMU this year. If you haven't heard, we think they're pretty special. I think they're an ascending program. They dropped a tough one to UCI on Friday, 14-15 down at UCI. They also played Fullerton on Friday and got the win there. And then on Saturday, Clay, LMU drops a tough one to Stanford visiting Burns Aquatic Center there, 15-8. You were on the call. Why don't you give us the detailed breakdown?
Yeah, it's my first time giving a detailed breakdown because I was the one doing the call this time, right? I gotta say, I was absolutely thrilled to do the call. So grateful to LMU and the support of head coach David Carrasco to have me on to call their home opener. I had a blast the entire time, and I can't hold a candle to the West Kading on the call, but it's not a competition, right? Sure. Enough about me. Yeah. Let's talk about the game. So there were a few unknowns that Wes called out already heading into the game. We talked about this LMU team being a dark horse this year with Carrasco at the helm and Baldinetti being back from injury and Alika coming back. And we talked about Stanford and graduating a lot of scoring firepower. Let me tell you, Stanford is not lacking in goal scorers. First and foremost, I have to call out sophomore Botan Balag. We candidly didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year, but at the U20 World Championships, we saw him absolutely blossom and be a leader for that Hungarian team. And that's the Balag we saw in this game. I think he had a hat trick in the first 4 minutes of the game, if I'm not mistaken, with a total of 6. Not 100% shooting, going 6 for 10, but if you left him open, the probability was high that the ball was going to be in the back of the net. And you know who didn't score as many goals but felt just as dangerous? Max Zelikov. This guy has a laser, shooting 3 for 3 in a maturity and confidence beyond his years. I would say he's for sure been a standout player for that USA Pipeline team at National League and at Senior Nationals and, of course, at U20 Worlds. If you're playing Stanford and you give either of these two guys space, you're going to be in trouble. Having 2 goal scorers isn't quite enough to be that championship caliber, but that's where 4 came in strong this game, rounding it with another 3 goals. So you have 3 players scoring 12 of their team's 15 goals. Surprisingly, we didn't see the production from the center we expected from Schneider and Georgie, despite a number of opportunities, but they were clearly enough of a threat to draw the LMU defense in to allow for some outside sniping. On the LMU side, it's clear they struggled, but the game could have started very differently. On the Lions side, it was clear to me that center Bensi Baric is a lot to handle, and perhaps LMU's greatest weapon. He had the first goal of the game, strong natural goal at a set, but From there, we saw LMU get a lot of great looks, whether it was passes to the inside in the half court, man up, or counterattack, and just didn't have that to finish. And if they scored just a couple of those opportunities that I saw in the first quarter, we would have seen it end very differently, at least the first quarter, surely not 6-2 as it did. Stanford ran a very hard press that sometimes had not just one line at the half tank mark or past it, but two. And we have a lot of faith in Baldinetti to have a very special season, but we really missed him this game, going 0 for 3, though he did have 2 assists. Alika, unfortunately, went 0 for 7 with a number of those attempts in the second half, just trying to keep his team in the game. Abel had the most goals with 2. I have to say, I really do think the 2 games the day before, this tough game against UCI and Fullerton, has to play a factor in that game. But one thing is for sure, it's early in the season. Sure, the result is very disappointing, but this is the kind of experience that I really think David wants for his team, to play against the best and when tired, so they can really understand how they're exposed. And I would love to see a rematch of this game later in the season.
Yeah, well, great breakdown, Clay. I thought you did a nice job there, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, LMU will take on UCI in their final game of the season, so they actually start their season and end it with games against UCI, which is kind of cool. I like that. And yeah, LMU, Stanford won't see each other again, but Stanford only had that one game on the weekend, kind of down and back, quick trip to SoCal. Moving forward here, San Jose State took down UCSB pretty handily. 3 goals is not a lot of goals in today's game. Quite candidly, 10 isn't a lot. But when you got Brennan Japiash in the goal, it's pretty tough to score as it is. They then went on to kind of pound Long Beach. This is only a 2-goal finish, but it wasn't. They were up, I believe they were up 4-5 at one point. I was getting text messages constantly. Obviously, I wasn't there, but a lot of people were texting me, telling me the updates. Sam Keatley was crushing it. We'll talk about him in a little bit. He is the real deal, an absolute specimen. Shamu Birosh had a great game. Mitch Keatley, the older brother of Sam, was great. Latsi Sibian at defense was really good. They only had San Jose State only had one center the whole weekend, and that was Sam. So he pretty much played the entire game this game. I don't know his exact minutes. They don't send me those stats, but I do think it's something they should share. But Sam was the player of the weekend for that San Jose State team. I know they dropped, you look down the line here, they dropped a game to USC 20-13, but that was like their 4th game of the weekend. So it's like.
And we talked about that.
We talked about that. I just don't take. They're tired. They're frustrated. There were a number of guys getting 3 exclusions by half. Like, to me, that's not the team, right? And I don't know if San Jose State plays them again. I know they have a one-off, like a single game against Cal on a Sunday, so that'll be interesting in a couple of weeks here. Fordham took down UOP. This game I did get to watch because shout out to Felix Mercado and Brown for putting all of the games on ESPN+. The streaming quality was really good. And I was stoked to watch. Fordham, the veterans really stood out to me. Lucas Silvestre was quite good. Provenciani all over the place. Andrash, so fast. St. Andrash, love him. Barnabas Epa, to me, was kind of the player of the weekend out on the East Coast. Was really, really dominant. We'll talk about his stats in a little bit. It was good to see Diego Tressa as well. I thought he played quite well for a freshman center. We talk about this, about how tough it is for freshmen to be dominant at the center position. On the other side of it, Boris Kashagal was outstanding for Pacific all weekend. I believe he ended the weekend with like 17 goals in 4 games. Now, look, they're not playing. This is a different level, like when you're playing LIU and the likes. But they did play Fordham, and I believe he had 6 goals against Fordham. So that says something. Apostolos Iogarach had 4 goals, I believe, against Fordham. He was really quite good up and down, but they were young. You could tell they hadn't played together. And the difference in this game to me, while Fordham we know is talented, I believe Pacific is really quite talented. I don't know if they're at the level of Fordham yet, but they're really good. And the difference was not the talent, it was the playing together aspect. The chemistry on Fordham on defense was outstanding. They knew where to be in those situations more often than not. UOP made some unfortunate turnovers on their 6-on-5, a couple of bad passes in bad situations that, maybe they're just not used to playing together. And on defense, their drop was late. You clean that stuff up, it's a very different game. And I believe they threw 4 turnovers in the first half on 6-on-5. So that's brutal. It might have been in the first quarter, but that is brutal. When 4 of your 6-on-5s you pass to the other team in the first half, pretty deflating. It's pretty tough. And so UOP didn't look, they're not at the level they're going to be at the end of the season. Let me put it that way, because this team is good. Was really impressed with some of these freshman recruits. I know James Graham, I call him Dr. Graham, is really excited about these guys. And they'll be better as they go throughout the season. Fordham will too, as they are implementing new pieces, as all these teams should be. Pepperdine dropped a tough one to Davis. This was a pretty devastating blow for a Pepperdine team, losing to Davis, who's very young. And we had Coach Layson on. He was really high on his freshman class. He's not wrong. I thought they were one of the more impressive teams of the weekend, just from a statistical standpoint. Again, they were down in San Diego, could not watch any of those games, so that was tough. The one game that did get streamed was the Pepperdine UCSD, 4th game of the weekend for Pepperdine. I think UCSD must have played 6 games in 3 days. So, look, Pepperdine, good win against UCSD. If it's your 4th game and 6th game, I don't know what we're really seeing here. It's hard to make much of this. Ackerstrom was out. I think Ante was setting. There was some weird stuff going on. It just was bizarre. Similarly, USC beating San Jose State 20-13. Again, this was the end of the weekend. San Jose State was gassed. I think they kind of gave everything they had against Long Beach. They looked frustrated in this game from the statistics and when I talked to the players and coaches afterwards. And so that was interesting. UCLA beating San Diego 18-2. This is crazy to me, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So I'm going to come back to this. USC beats San Diego, UCSD 10-7. Good win. That was early in the weekend. USC kind of getting it together, and you can see they turned it on. This team is the most variability, where they can win a game 10-7 versus UCSD and then just ratchet it up and go 20 goals against Yop Yash and San Jose State. Again, end of the weekend, hard to really know, but USC has immense upside. They're figuring it out, right? They're not playing to their potential yet because they're just whatever, but really impressed with Strahini Krstić. Not a lot of offensive fouls. Drew, I think, 8 exclusions against San Jose State. And is
pretty good.
The dude he's the real deal. We called this out, man. Not to pat ourselves on the back, but he's the real deal. So we'll see how that team continues to progress. I thought Stefan Brankovic was also outstanding. I don't think he was excluded one time on the weekend, maybe once the whole weekend, but it had a lot of assists and a lot of goals. A complete flip from last season. So great start for him. I love to see that because I think this guy really wants to be great, and I love to see the change in demeanor. And again, I think this has to do with it. Now he's playing for his 2nd year in the U.S., getting used to the system and the calls. So that was really interesting. Back to the UCLA San Diego score. I went back and I looked at UCLA's early season victories. And a lot of the time they're very close. Now, some of this I think is self-imposed. I think, my opinion here, this is just...
Sorry, when you say what's close, can you define what's...
Scores. The scores are very close. They went to overtime versus Princeton last year.
Okay, against their opponent.
Against their opponent. Their scores, their games are very close.
Okay.
And I think some of this is self-imposed. I think there's a methodology here, and it's genius. Adam Wright knows what he has. And he knows that if he throws a certain line in there, they're probably going to go 4-1, 5-1. But I think he mixes up his lines in the first half, maybe the first 3 quarters, to say, we're going to play everybody. And I'm going to create tension. I'm going to create close games and see how you respond. So when push comes to shove late in the season, we know that we can win close games. We have that callous, that resilience. I think it's intentional. I really do. Which makes this win kind of an anomaly. You only give up 2 goals in today's game against anybody, let alone a top 15 team.
Yeah.
You give up only 2 goals, that is special. So this is not what I'm used to seeing in a UCLA team early in the season. Okay? I'll also say this. UCLA represented the U.S. at the World University Games. So they had the unique, and I mean unique, ability and opportunity to train together as a team throughout summer. No other team in the country had that opportunity. And that is a distinct advantage. I don't know when this started, that the last national champ was able to represent the U.S. when USA Water Polo said, we're not going to do this. We can send a college team. I'll be candid. I don't love it. I just think it's not fair to the USCs of the world, to anybody in college water polo. I think that's really tough when UCLA gets to train intensely together for months at a time like that when nobody else can, because it's against the rules for them to train during that time. I think that's just like, we got to figure that one out. So this could be a byproduct of that. I'm not saying that it is. I just think that there's something there where they're playing together and they're used to playing together, because the freshmen who are coming in got all summer to train with them too. And so that's a really unique thing, I believe, that maybe wasn't not normal, if you will. It's not on UCLA. Congrats to them. They
it's not
won
their
the national
fault.
championship.
It's not their fault for representing U.S. and World University games. They're given that opportunity.
They're given that opportunity. They earned that opportunity. That is great for them, and they did really well, finishing, I believe, second at World University games behind Italy. It's on USA Water Polo, so that's a little call out there. But UCLA smashed UC San Diego. They were good all weekend. To me, it's them. I think USC's got a fighting chance, a puncher's chance. Right now, I don't see anybody else coming anywhere near them. They're just really good.
Yeah.
So,
not much to add.
Weekend one. Weekend one results. All right. Now, next up here, our preseason rankings after the weekend, which we want to go side by side so we can show you what do we think before, what do we think now. The first five, totally unchanged. Stanford only had one game. Fordham had a game against UOP. Good for them. That's a top 10 win. USC, UCLA, and Cal, none of them played. I'm sorry, USC did beat San Jose State, so they had a top 10 win. UCLA didn't play a top 10 team, I don't believe. Cal definitely didn't play a top 10 team. And then Stanford played LMU. San Jose State took down Long Beach, so moving them into sixth. Long Beach will drop to seventh, as the only game they lost was to San Jose State. They won the others. UCI, I thought, was outstanding. Just straight up. I just thought they played really well. Pepperdine, losing to Davis, knocks them out of the top 10. That's a tough loss. I know it's early. That's just a tough loss to have.
These don't really mean anything.
No, they don't mean anything.
It's just like how teams are progressing throughout the season, right?
They mean nothing. And to give you an idea, the CWPA doesn't mean anything either. That's just a coach's poll. And I don't know how many coaches watch all the games, but I know we watch as much as we can. Pacific moves to 9 as Pepperdine falls out. Davis moving into 10 after taking down Pepperdine at 7. Some people would say, well, Davis should be 7 because they beat Pepperdine. Well, no, not on our radar, but maybe next time. They keep proving it. They got some big games coming up.
I don't think UC Davis proved that they can play up to Pepperdine. I think Pepperdine, it wasn't UC Davis necessarily playing up above everyone else. It's just Pepperdine dropped for now. Everyone else ships up. So
yeah, more or less. So there you go. Clay, any commentary here?
No, I think everything's pretty close. I think we were expecting a little bit more from Pepperdine, but I think you and I also thought that Chapo would be in action, and a couple of the key players. So it's definitely a different squad that we're seeing for this season. Very unfortunate that there might be some procedures in the works right now to hopefully get him back and healthy. We'd love to see that. And just very strong performances by San Jose State. Very happy to see, especially when newcomers come in. You don't know how they're going to do, and they just really shine. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, Sam Keatley, look out, world. He's a dude. All right, next up, we got our 3 stars. So our week 1, 3 stars. First star, Barnabas Epa, Fordham. 8 goals, 6 drawn exclusions, 2 drawn penalties.
Wow.
For a center to have 8 goals in 4 games is amazing.
Unheard of. Yeah.
I have to go back and look. I got his stats. Versus Pacific, he had 3 goals, 2 steals, 1 ejection drawn, 2 penalties drawn. That's a pretty unbelievable line for a center against a team in the top 10 like Pacific. When I talked to the Pacific players and the coaches, they were like, Epa is the real deal, like the real deal. And they're very high on him. Number 2, Sam Keatley, San Jose State. He played center. He's not actually a center. 11 goals on the weekend, 4 versus USC. Again, as a center to have 11 goals, 4 versus USC is amazing. 16 drawn exclusions, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. The dude was like a plus $1 million on the weekend, which is incredible. And finally, Robert Lopez Duarte, we're big fans of Robert Duarte. 12 goals on the weekend. These guys are just putting up numbers, bro. 12 goals on the weekend, 3 assists. Why pass anybody when you're scoring at the clip he is? But that USC team looked great. Again, Brankovic was really good. Grgorovich kind of found his groove later on the weekend. Mihailo Vukovic, we could go for days with these names. Jack Fort was also very good. Jack Martin played exceptionally well also. So they're loaded. You can probably expect to see some USC guys on this list throughout the season here. So Exciting weekend. And we'll just keep going, man. We're just going to keep rolling along. All right, so next up, key week 2 matchups. So we want to check these out, guys. These are great matchups. I'm really excited about the Santa Clara Princeton game. I don't know if it's going to be streamed, but Santa Clara at Princeton, I'm pumped because I think this is going to be a really good game. I think this is a 2 to 3 goal game, one way or the other. Santa Clara has looked good. They haven't played anybody outstanding, but they look good. They're getting production from their new guys. They're getting production from their returners, right? And they're playing, from what I could tell, playing pretty well together. So I'm excited for this. Be a great test for Santa Clara. I have them kind of a little bit higher than the coaches poll do. I know we only do top 10 here, but I have Santa Clara a little bit higher than the coaches poll. UCLA versus Fordham. All right, guys. Fordham did not play UCLA last year. They're going to get a shot. And UCLA's got a pretty busy schedule, as does Fordham, that weekend at the Princeton Invite there. So good opportunity for Fordham. That is going to be on Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, I believe. That's what I wrote down, at least. My head's going crazy with all these different games and times and whatever else, but I'm going to double check right now.
Don't trust and verify.
Yeah. So I don't even trust myself. That is correct. Saturday, the 6th, 8 a.m. against Fordham. That'll be an exciting game. We'll see how Fordham handles it. It'll be going back to the point that most of the UCLA games early in the season are pretty close. I'm curious how Adam is going to play this one.
Yeah,
I really am. So that'll be interesting. Pro Recco versus Ferencváros. That'll be Thursday, the 4th of September. A little out of order here. 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be on the call for that. I realize it's an exhibition game, but I want to promote this because I feel like if you're young out there and you want to watch some high-level water polo, what better place to watch? And I'm honored to be on the call for this. I'll be flying out to Asphalt Green here. By the time this thing airs, I'll be in New York. I'll be joined by Ben Halleck for this game, and so he'll be doing the color commentary. Really excited for that. It's going to be an unbelievable environment. I think they've sold out all the games.
Great.
Yeah,
awesome. Great to hear.
Yeah, so it's great that there's fandom in New York. That's awesome. Day prior, UCLA plays Pro Recco, and Princeton plays Ferencváros. So excited to see that. And then, of course, on Sunday, Clay, USC at Pepperdine, and you get your second game of the year.
That's right.
Clay's going back and forth. He's going Pepperdine. He's going LMU.
Oh, just all over Southern California. Oh, it's just so hard to manage. I mean, I'm on the is Westchester one day, Malibu the next. It's tough. Those games before, are those all being streamed on? I know UCLA, Fordham, and Pro Recco FTC are on overnight.
So Pro Recco FTC is overnight. UCLA Fordham is the Princeton Invite. Santa Clara.
That's Princeton Invite. Right.
Yeah, those are both Princeton Invite on Saturday. They're back-to-back games, so I'm gonna be up early to watch this if I can. I don't know if they're being streamed. None of the websites say anything about it, so I'll do my best to get information out there if I hear if anything is being streamed. But I couldn't find it on UCLA, Fordham, or Princeton's website. So, but I do know that USC at Pepperdine will be on ESPN Plus on Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific. They're doing some commentary there.
Yeah, and we're learning we're learning as we go, don't we always? Currently, there's not a fantastic replay capability on ESPN Plus for these games. So if you want to catch it, be sure to catch it live. And we're going to keep advocating that there's a little bit more archiving and replayability of some of these games in the meantime. So 12 p.m. sharp, be there.
Yeah. Well, Brown, you're going to have to ask Coach Felix Mercado at Brown because all those Brown games are available. So I don't know what you're doing, but you got to talk to him.
What's we doing? Yeah, I'll talk to him. I'll figure it out for LMU, for Pepperdine, and for everybody. It's great.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, we appreciate that, Clay.
Yeah, advocacy.
Yeah, advocacy is key in our sport. Want to thank everybody for joining us. We're now going to be joined by the captain of Team USA and Max Irving, who's going to be playing for Recco this next season. For those of you who don't know, he's made the transfer from Brescia, who just beat Recco last season, to Recco. There's a lot of rivalry there. I know he's really excited about this, but the captain of Team USA, Max Irving, will be joining us right after this, and you're going to see a promo now for Ryder Dodd, Chase Dodd, and Adrian Weinberg's clinic in January 3rd of 2026. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everyone. Really exciting opportunity that we have here, not only to talk about the Pro Recco World Tour, but to be joined by captain of Team USA, Max Irving, the newest member of Pro Recco. Dude, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. Really exciting upcoming week of water polo that we have, and excited that you're going to be coming out here to help us, host it, experience it all as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's a real honor and a privilege for me to see you guys play live, be a part of this event. You've got, obviously, some fun games. You've got UCLA on Wednesday. You've got Ferencváros on Thursday. But before we get into that, talk to us about the process. You're going from Brescia, and you just won the Italian Cup, or the regular season for Italy, right? And now you're coming to Recco, the historic powerhouse of the Italian Serie A. What went into that decision? Why Recco?
Yeah, obviously there's a big rivalry there between Brescia and Recco. But I think when Recco approached me and I had the opportunity to play with this incredible team with such a historic legacy that really is at the pinnacle of water polo as an American athlete, especially an attacker at that, you're not too many athletes have this opportunity. So, for me, it's really a dream come true to be able to play on one of these top teams at the highest level in Europe and have the opportunity to, hopefully win championships and add to the Recco water polo legacy.
Yeah, amazing. Well, and it's an exciting opportunity for us to see it live because I don't remember the last time I got to actually see a game between Ferencváros and Pro Recco in person. And so that's obviously a really cool opportunity for everybody at Asphalt Green in New York in a few short hours here. Talk to us, though, like you've been playing pro for a while. Like this is not a new thing for you to be playing pro. Obviously, you're now at the top of the top. You've been a part of Team USA for a while. Max, you had a really interesting career at UCLA, and it wasn't what you would think a lot of the time. I'm not sure if people know that. But talk to us about this transition from college to pro, Team USA, and the Olympics. I think we'd love to just hear your story.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played after graduating from Long Beach Wilson, was recruited to UCLA, and I got there, and honestly, I would say similar experience, having to really grow up and take that next step to play high level collegiate water polo. So, I mean, I think that honestly has been a theme throughout my career. I've really wanted to put myself in an environment with players that are better than me in a championship environment. So, I can grow to my highest level and, reach my eventual peak performance as an athlete. So yeah, after leaving Long Beach Wilson, went to UCLA, had an amazing experience at UCLA. I just think with all the guys there, I really took a lot in and really got to understand what it really, really takes to be a champion and to not only put yourself in a position to be successful, but then also do what it takes in that game to eventually win that game. So, obviously that has a lot to do with the mentality, a lot to do with the culture that Adam is driving at UCLA. And, I was fortunate enough to be coached by him for 4 years. And he has been really, really fundamental to my growth as not only as an athlete, but as a person as well outside of the water. So super, super fortunate for the opportunity to play at UCLA and then just be able to play with such good teammates. I mean, I know we talk about Pat Whoopsie a lot and everything that he did to kind of contribute to the culture and just the type of man and type of athlete he was. So like those type of guys, Danny McClintock, Anthony DeBow, some of these guys are guys who really, really left, Ryder Roberts left a really good impression on me and something that, I also want to continue to, that I carry with me today to, represent American water polo when I am abroad playing professionally. Because as you've mentioned, this is now my, I think 8th season abroad. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. I graduated and I had my last.
It's been a while, man.
It's been a while. I've been enjoying it though. I live the dream. I get to play water polo professionally and, they support me being able to do that, financially. And, obviously I get to embrace different cultures and really have like a holistic approach to water polo, because a lot of times with national team, it's only for a few short months in the summer. So to be able to play professionally and for, almost 11 months out of a year to be playing water polo, to be improving every day, to being pushed and challenging myself every day, it's really a blessing. So I've been just enjoying it and, slowly but surely, taking step by step every day, every year, trying to get better, ultimately trying to do everything in my part to reach the pinnacle.
And now you kind of are at the pinnacle. Recco, the most storied franchise in the history of water polo, more Champions League titles, though they just won their first Euro Cup this past year, only because they don't really play in Euro Cup too often. I'm sure they're going to be in Champions League this year. You're surrounded by some talent. You got Luke Pavillard, you've got Giacomo Canella, you've got Alvaro Granados, you've got some ballers on this team. I'm leaving a few people out, I know. Is this the best team you've ever been a part of?
I would definitely think so. When you look at our team top to bottom, we've got 16 guys, numbers 1 through 16, even every single guy on this roster is an elite athlete. And what's so cool, we've just been training. It's the very early days of our preparation and what we've, started this process with the new team is just seeing the level of motivation and energy and effort that these guys bring to every training every single day. Everyone's out there competing on a daily basis and proving not only to the group, but also proving to the coaching staff and proving to themselves that they deserve to be there, that they deserve to be in the water, and that we're going to do everything in our power to be the best, and not only be the best when it's time to play games, but be the best every single day, whether it's shooting, whether it might be swimming, whether it might be passing or the skills, just the level of everything we're doing. It's just, it's really, really high. So for me, coming into this new team, as a guy who's also trying to contribute to that, super motivating for me.
Absolutely. A rising tide raises all ships. When you're surrounded by better athletes, better talent, you tend to play up and play better, just by virtue of, learning on the job or leading from the front, whatever it may be. There's always good reasons for it. And so you'll start the Serie A. I forget, it'll be after this trip, obviously. Is there any particular, are you looking forward to playing Brescia again? What is that like for you?
Yeah, that's going to be super interesting. It'll be the last game of like the Andata round, which is like like the first half of the season. So that'll be super super probably emotional a bit, but it'll be super interesting, super intriguing to play that game. I know how they are, how motivated they are when they play every single game, but especially when they have the opportunity to beat Recco, how personal they take it. So, now being on the other side and having played in a few of those Recco versus Brescia matchups, I know the level of intensity that those games are going to bring. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that game. But then I think just with a new team like this, every single game that we have is really going to be an opportunity for us to grow, because even before we have our first game of the I think maybe we have our first game and then we have the Super Cup. But, towards the very beginning of the season, we play Ferencváros for the Super Cup trophy. Okay, granted, this is the winner of the Champions League and the winner of the Euro Cup, not typically do you see it with such a level matchup. It's going to be such a good game. So I think this is something that we're all looking forward to and super excited about, just to kick off the season and to be able to compete for a trophy pretty much out the gates.
It's an intense schedule. It's a cup here, a cup there. Do any of them mean more than others? I mean, Champions League kind of has this mystique about it, but Super Cup also, it's a chance to prove early on. Are you ready to play against Spanish voters? You're gonna have that chance in a few hours here, but talk to us about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that especially with a club like Recco, whenever there's an opportunity to win a trophy, you got to go all in on that. So,
Right.
and then it's an amazing opportunity, especially for us new guys, to contribute to that legacy because, as amazing as it is to be a part of this new team at Pro Recco, I really feel like, okay, just, obviously making it to the team, that's one portion of it. But then I feel like I still have so much to prove because it's one thing to make it to a team. And then it's another thing to make it to that team and then contribute to that team and then help that team win. So just with this first opportunity that we have with Super Cup, I think that's a great way for us to set the tone in Europe to show, the high level Champions League teams that, that we're here, that we mean business, and that we're going to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
Yeah. Now, Max, you're very you're kind of a global ambassador for water polo. A lot of kids look up to you. I know Aiden Romain, who's playing in Spain, is a big fan of yours. There's a lot of kids here that I hear about love Max Irving. Where do you think we need to go as a country from a water polo perspective to continually, repeatedly, consistently compete on the world stage? Because we're just not there yet at the highest level.
Yeah, I think we're definitely showing that we're taking steps to arriving at that to arriving at that level where we're consistently winning medals. I think I know that the junior team did an amazing job in Zagreb this summer, winning a silver medal, and that very well could have been a gold medal for them. And then the women just did an amazing job winning. I believe that was like the junior world championship as well. So, I have to shout out Emily Osmus and some of the girls just with the hard work that they're doing as well. So I think the younger generations are doing a really, really good job. And I think that's also encouraging for age group athletes to see that not only on the women's side at the highest level do we have such a legacy and such a history of performance and championships, honestly, and medals at the Olympic and World Championship levels. But okay, now we see it with the men's team as well, approaching that level, having this historic bronze at the Paris Olympic Games. But then in this year, 2025, backing that with the junior championships, both two finals and two junior world championships, which is amazing. So I think where we have to go is there just has to be a level of commitment. And I think that level of commitment kind of starts from the top down, I would say. I know that Dan Udovic, he's super, super committed to the growing of not only the athletes that we have on the national team, but the junior national team athletes as well. I know that was a big decision this summer, allowing the guys to play in that before the junior world championships, before the senior world championships. And, that's something that we wholeheartedly supported those guys in doing because, that contributes to the culture. But I think to also grow the sport, visibility is one of the biggest things. So that's why it's so awesome what Overnight's doing and also what you're doing, by helping promote the sport. Also, even with this, like the Water Polo Wednesday, just having a platform where people are able to engage with the sport. It's so, so important because, as the sport's growing, people are going to want to be able to check in with the sport. People are going to want to watch the sport. And, when people are able to see the sport, and then people are more interested in the sport. People maybe can flip on ESPN and see a water polo match. And maybe if you've never seen a water polo match, you might be like, oh, what's that? Like, that's interesting that there's a game in the water that incorporates all these different aspects of some sports I love, like, the exclusion, power play with hockey, shooting and scoring, similar to like hockey, but then also soccer. The physicality and the up and down of like a basketball too. So I think just, opening up water polo to a broader audience is where we have to eventually go. And I think that's where the goal should be. And I think that's definitely happening. And then obviously if the players who are playing, I think JOs is doing an amazing, amazing job by just continuing to expand. I know that there's a lot of expansion in Texas as well right now. And then this massive showcase that we have and push on the East Coast. I think things are really, really going in the right direction. And all of that hopefully culminating to LA 28 and just using this all as a springboard to just bring as much attention and visibility as we can to the sport.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Max, who you're so well spoken, man. So thank you for doing this. I'm just so impressed. Who do you look up to? Who's kind of your idol? Who do you aspire to like play like or compete like? Is there somebody out there you're like this is the guy I kind of look to?
Yeah, I would say obviously my dad. I think that's someone. It can be a little bit cliche, People always look up to their dad, but I think my dad is really someone who's had a major impression on me, just with his professionalism, with his work ethic, and everything that he does. And then obviously Kobe Bryant was someone who I looked up to as an athlete. And then of course in the water polo side of things, Kostas Yanadunia, some of these guys that I'm even playing with now. Like one thing about me is I am kind of like a water polo nerd. Like I literally love watching water polo games. Like I just in these past few days, I've been going back and watching like the World Championship games from like this summer in Singapore, just to see small things I could pick up from the other players who are doing well. Because something about me is I'm never wanted to say that I've arrived and that I'm too good to continue learning. Because if I can steal something from this player, okay, maybe in that situation, if I can incorporate that into my game, I think it's just another arsenal, another no, something else, another weapon to have in the arsenal. So I just think just having that mentality of being a student of the game, having that growth mindset, trying to be 1% better. But then, man, there's so many players I look up to, like 4 or 5 guys who I'm playing with on the team now. I wouldn't say necessarily look up to, because they're my contemporaries now.
Hey, your peers now, yeah.
Exactly. But, like guys who I'm learning from, guys who I like what they're doing, and like I try to incorporate some of that into my game as well.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, like I mentioned, a lot of people look up to you. I think you're really inspiring to a lot of people. The way that you play, I'll be candid with you. You're one of those guys who has what I would call gravity. When you have the ball, all eyes are on you. And when you pass, and you oftentimes, more often than not, make the right pass, you set up other people. And that's great and all. But it's your ability to score that I personally have seen improve and rise through the years. And that to me has been just a huge benefit to you, because now not only is everybody looking at you, are you going to pass, but they're also, you got to respect your shot from that 4-5 side. And I think part of that too, like you played with Bowen, who is pretty elite at scoring from that side, right? You've watched Kostas and whatnot. So you've called out some great names there. So Max, it's been a real joy to watch you grow as a player and continue to kind of level yourself up. I love the growth mindset, that always learning. So my opinion is if you stop learning, you start dying type of thing. You got to keep growing because life is so iterative. Everything's changing all the time, man. So very cool. This is the part of the episode where we open it up to you. And if there's anything you want to share with people, it's the studio is yours, as we like to say. We really appreciate you being here, man. This has been amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is something, I often say to like the kids when I'm like having a clinic or anything, but, I would just say my 3 keys to success. My first key to success is you have to love what you do. I think passion and enthusiasm are something that's so important, especially for age group athletes, but then even athletes at a high level like myself. I think the difference between good athletes and great athletes are going to love what they do on a daily basis. So then they can go and they can give more to that on a daily basis. So of course, when you're an age group athlete, you want to be able to perform well. You want to be able to score goals every game, but you want to make sure you're playing water polo for the right reasons, because you're enjoying it, because you love the team aspect of it, because you get to compete with your friends and play this amazing sport. So I think just making sure you love what you do, whether that is water polo or whatever it is that you do, have enthusiasm and a relationship of joy and love with water polo, because, oftentimes with age group athletes, we see burnout. Burnout is obviously something that affects athletes, and it's going to continue to affect athletes, as obviously more more resources are poured into youth sports, as parents continue to push. But I think as that youth athlete, you have to understand that, there's going to be peaks and valleys in your journey, but understanding that you're playing water polo because it's a game. You say you don't go work water polo. You play water polo. So enjoying it, loving it, having fun, just that enthusiasm and that passion with why you play, for me, is the most important thing, because, that's something for me. I'm 30 years old now and playing water polo for the past, 20 years. If I wasn't loving it or if I wasn't enjoying it, for sure I wouldn't be playing right now. So, that's something that I really hold as like the foundation of sport, the foundation of water polo, because that's going to take you further than any skill, than any tactic or anything like that. So boom, first thing, foundation, the love for water polo. And then of course, secondly, like I said, we've kind of talked about it a bit today, but just having that growth mindset. Can you be a student of the game? Can you get 1% better every day? It's something I tell these kids. Okay, so for example, if I was doing passing yesterday, and in my passing with the groups, the coach said we're doing 5 minutes of passing. If I drop the ball maybe 5 times, okay, today when I go to pass, can I be mindful and can I really apply myself and try to drop the ball less times than I did yesterday? So it can just be super small little things like that. How are you staying engaged? How are you being mindful? How are you looking to grow on a daily basis? Because as an age group athlete, even for me as a professional athlete, we're training so much throughout the year. And if you just train the right way, with the right intensity, with the right attitude, there's plenty of enough time to grow. I mean, you could take me, for example, never been the biggest player, never been the fastest player, never been the strongest player. But, I've been someone who's been committed to getting better. And that's one of the things that I would say has definitely helped me be successful and continue to be successful in water polo, but not just water polo, of course, in life as well. And then finally, third key that I usually say is the journey. You have to embrace the journey and enjoy the journey. With water polo, of course, we want to be scoring 3 goals. We want to be the MVP of every game. It's amazing when you win medals and, the team does great, but there's going to be games where you don't do as well. So understanding, even for me now, I'm on a brand new team. Things, there's always an adjustment period. You've got to kind of find your rhythm, find where you fit in, establish those connections with new teammates, and understanding, there's going to be peaks and valleys, and it's all part of that process, and just enjoying that process and enjoying that journey, and understanding that, okay, every day doesn't have to be a great day, but can I get a little bit better today? Can I enjoy today? And then, just understanding that, water polo, such a blessing that we're able to play a sport that we love. So, just if we're able to do it at a high level and enjoy doing it, it's something that's super inspirational for the next generation. So that's kind of what I have. I think that what you're doing is really, really amazing with this Water Polo Wednesday, and how you've continued to keep eyes and keep people engaged in water polo in a way that honestly, frankly, didn't exist before this, So especially as we're increasing visibility with the sport, and as the tides are kind of turning for American water polo, I mean, I really truly feel that we're one break away from having a professional league here. And, all my teammates here, trust me, I know that they would love to have an American league, come to the U.S., enjoy, living in the U.S., with the U.S. lifestyle, the American dream a bit, and, to be able to continue to compete in high level water polo. So, eventually that is the goal. And I think we're knocking on the doorstep.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly getting closer, it feels like. And man, do I appreciate this. Thank you for taking the time. I love the 3 keys. It's right in line with my philosophy as well. So personally, I very much enjoyed that. Can't thank you enough for being here. I know you got to get ready for these games coming up. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you on the deck here in a few short hours, Max, but thank you for taking the time tonight.
Yes, absolutely, Wes. No, really appreciate you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the deck soon.
Yeah, say hi, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.